For March Madness 2022, I am partnering with BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Using the link in the description, you can get a 125% sign-up bonus using the promo code JOIN125. A $100 minimum deposit is necessary. Get in on the action on this NCAA tournament and March Madness season and any other sport in general, and make some money. Get in on the action with BetUS. Before we get started with this video, I want to let you guys know about my Discord server. We're talking college basketball live games, just college basketball in general, bracketology, Q&As, all that stuff. Hit the link in the description to join the Super Celtic 24 Discord server. About to make this bracket predictions video and all that stuff. We're just getting up to speed here and all that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Sup guys, it's Alex here, and welcome to the March 9th edition of the Bracketology Update. We are only 4 days away from Selection Sunday. You can tell the hype in my voice. I am so freaking excited. I hope you guys are too. We have been waiting all season for this time. Today is really when the meat of the conference tournaments kick off. We got the first round of the Big East, second round of the ACC. We got I think we have a couple SEC as well, some conference finals, which I do want to mention that freaking Bellarmine last night. Bellarmine is a team based out of Louisville, Kentucky. It's right where I live. I have a lot of friends who went to Bellarmine. I mean, heck, I even dated a girl that went to Bellarmine. We won't talk about that though. But Bellarmine, they won their conference tournament. But because of the NCAA's stupid transition rules, Bellarmine's not eligible for the tournament for 4 years. Bellarmine was a powerhouse in Division II. They won a national championship there. I don't get why they have to have the transition and eligibility going up to the Division I. I get if you want to have the transition year from going to Division I to Division II, just because you're probably better than a lot of those teams there, so it makes sense to kind of have a little transition there. But why going up a division do you have transition? Why do you have a transition year in general? Why do you have 4 transition years? They're in like year 2 right now. It's so stupid. I mean, I don't understand it. They deserve to be in the tournament. Justice for Bellarmine, and of course Jacksonville State ends up making the tournament as like the regular season champion. I believe that's why they ended up getting in. But before we get into this bracketology, which is a new bracketology, as you can see, Jerry Palm CBS Sports bracketology, just because there hasn't been a whole lot of action in college basketball for the main tournament over the last couple of days, so Joe Lenardi's hasn't really changed. So we'll switch it up here. I haven't done Jerry Palm's at all this year. I don't think. I usually kind of switch it at the very end of the conference tournament season. But before we get into the bracketology, I want to let you guys know about the 7,777 subscriber giveaway. If we hit that number by Selection Sunday, you know what? I'll even take it through the end of Sunday. Just because my actual tournament predictions video, that usually ends up getting pretty decently popular, with a lot of additional subscribers for that. So I'll help you guys out. We're still about 300 subscribers away, but I'll extend it through the end of Sunday. If we hit 7,777 subscribers by midnight on Sunday, I will be giving away a first round NCAA tournament ticket. It'll be very interesting to kind of see how that ends up playing out. All you got to do to enter is hit that subscribe button, turn those post notifications on, take a screenshot, send it to @AlexPrice24 on Instagram, and then I'll send you a message saying that you're entered, kind of confirmation email. More details are in the description below, so make sure you subscribe, enter that tournament ticket giveaway. It's free to enter and all that stuff. I'll be giving away a tournament ticket on Monday if we end up hitting that. So yeah, go ahead and enter that, and let's get back into the bracketology. So Jerry Palm kind of does his bracketologies a little bit weird. I like Joe Lenardi's bracketologies better, but I know there's a lot of people who prefer Jerry Palm. But taking a look at his bubble here before we take a look at the actual bracket itself. Last 4 in are BYU, who I don't think deserves to be in the tournament. SMU, who's a classic bubble team. For me, they're probably the first team out right now. Michigan, who deserves to be in the last 4 buys. I don't know why he hasn't been last 4 in there. I don't really understand that. And Rutgers, who I do think is appropriate to have as the last 4 in. But then Wake Forest, he has out of the tournament. I would switch Wake Forest and SMU right now. I mean, Wake Forest does need to win a couple of ACC tournament games to kind of safely say that they're still in the field. But to have Wake Forest out of the field right now, I don't really understand that. Then the next 4 out are Florida, VCU, and then Indiana. Yeah, I feel so bad for Indiana. They need to get some wins. They've been so close, but I mean, the numbers don't lie. They're 2-7 in their last 9 games, so they need to up the ante there. But taking a look at the actual bracket here, you can kind of see what's going on. First round, we have Gonzaga as a 1 seed. He has Auburn as the second 1 seed. Joe Lenardi, I think, even has Auburn as the first 2 seed right now. So a big difference there. And then down here, we have Arizona as the 3, and then Baylor as the 4, kind of seeing how that ended up working out. Then we have Kentucky, Purdue, Kansas, and Duke as the 2 seeds. I feel like that's pretty safe. Villanova, Tennessee, Illinois, and Wisconsin as the 3s. And then as the 4s, we have Arkansas, Providence, Texas Tech, and UCLA. So that's kind of where Jerry Palm's bracketology lands. Not going to go too in-depth with it. It's updated as of this morning, so it'll be interesting to see how today's games end up shaping out and have an effect on the actual tournament bracket. We did have a couple of bids punched last night that I do want to mention. Gonzaga ended up winning the WCC. I mean, that one's pretty obvious there. That's not going to change anything. Bryant, I do believe they ended up winning their conference tournament, so they are in. Wright State beat Northern Kentucky by 1 point. I wanted to see another Kentucky-based school in the tournament, but they blew like a 16-point lead. Wright State ended up winning by 1. And I think that there was one more. Oh, yeah, it was Delaware actually ended up winning as well. Delaware beat a team. I don't remember off the top of my head who they beat, but I think it was a little bit of a surprise. And then South Dakota State also punched a bid last night, beating North Dakota State and clinching their spot in the NCAA tournament. And then, of course, you have Jacksonville State, wherever they ended up being. Yep, right there. Freaking being in over Bellarmine, which is so stupid. But now we need to get into our bracket predictions. We're getting pretty late into the video, not going to lie. Before we get into that, I got to come up with a 2-word food item for you guys, since I want to see who's actually watching this video midway through the video instead of just clicking to the end to see who the national champion is. I want to see who the true viewers are. So if you are watching at this point in the video, let's do a beef and cheddar. I know it's kind of a 3-word item, but drove past Arby's yesterday. Beef and cheddar is on my mind. So if you're watching right now, comment beef and cheddar below. I want to see who's actually paying attention. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into these predictions. Up first, we are going to have Gonzaga moving on past Norfolk State. I think that one's pretty obvious. Murray State, I do think will be able to beat Wyoming. I like Murray State a lot this year, just not against Gonzaga here in a second. Then UConn versus North Texas. I believe in North Texas to upset a 5 or 6 seed this year, but I just don't think it's going to happen against Connecticut. I think the Hurley team is going to advance there if I can click Connecticut. Arkansas and South Dakota State. Don't see an upset there. I got Arkansas moving forward. Then I am going to go with an upset pick here. Loyola Chicago over Colorado State. Colorado State showing up as a 6 seed I think is a little bit high from Jerry Palm. I think Loyola Chicago will be able to beat them there in a classic 11-6. Wisconsin will beat the Hens of Delaware. Then we are going to go with Davidson pulling off the 10-7 upset over Seton Hall. I think those two teams are a 50-50 matchup there, but I do like Davidson to advance. And then we have Duke moving on past Longwood. And then for a spot in the Sweet 16, Gonzaga will beat Murray State as much as I want to see Murray State get the victory there. Arkansas will end up beating Connecticut. Then we're going to go with Wisconsin advancing on past Loyola Chicago and Duke beating Davidson. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, I am picking Arkansas to upset Gonzaga. I've done it in the past couple of bracketologies. I mean, there's not really been anything to change. I mean, Gonzaga did just go and beat St. Mary's. But I think Arkansas can make a lot of noise in the tournament this year. They're one of the hottest teams in the nation. I got 4-seed Arkansas pulling off the upset over Gonzaga. And then Wisconsin and Duke, rematch of the 2015 National Championship game. If Johnny Davis is back, which I'm assuming he will be, I am going to go with the Badgers here of Wisconsin advancing on to the Elite Eight, beating Duke, who's been kind of inconsistent this year, which sets up 4-seed Arkansas versus 3-seed Wisconsin in the Elite Eight for a spot in the Final Four. And I have the Razorbacks of Arkansas advancing on. I think the team with J.D. Note and Jalen Williams, led by Eric Musselman, who's one of the best coaches, most hyped coaches in basketball, I think they'll advance on to the Final Four there. So, scrolling down to the bottom left regional, we're obviously going to have Baylor beat the winner of that 16-seed game. Michigan State, I do think, will be able to beat San Diego State. Then I am going to go with St. Mary's here, beating Rutgers or SMU. I think Rutgers has the best chance of upsetting St. Mary's there, but St. Mary's has just been playing great basketball lately. They've beaten Gonzaga and then took them down to the wire last night. UCLA will beat New Mexico State. Then I'm going with another upset pick here. I'm going to go with North Carolina. I don't see a world in the actual NCAA tournament predictions video where I'm going to have USC win their first round matchup. I'm out on USC. Then we have Villanova advancing on past Princeton. Ohio State, I do think will be able to beat Notre Dame, who is kind of on the bubble. I think Notre Dame, if they lose, they're a 2-seed in the ACC, but if they lose to like Virginia Tech in the first round, I think Notre Dame better be sweating on Selection Sunday. Then we're going to have Kentucky moving on past Georgia State. Baylor will advance past Michigan State here into the Sweet 16. UCLA will advance past St. Mary's. Then we're going to go with Villanova over North Carolina, along with Kentucky over Ohio State. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, Baylor I do think will beat UCLA, along with Kentucky beating Villanova. And then for a spot in the Final Four, this was my national championship game in the last Bracketology, but it's just the way that the Bracketologies work. I mean, it's all about where these teams are bracketed. That's what makes all these Bracketology videos so fun, because it's like, if all it takes is one team being moved to a different side of the bracket or a different region, and the whole thing gets screwed up. Like, I think Kentucky is a national championship contending team. I've had them win the national championship. I think they're one of the top contenders. But on Tuesdays or Monday, whenever the last one that I did a Bracketology on, I had Baylor beating Kentucky in the national championship game. Nothing's really changed since then. So I am going to go with Baylor advancing on to the Final Four. A lot of people are going to have been taking issue with me putting Kentucky in the national championship games in the Final Four and all that, saying I'm biased. Which, I mean, I am a little bit biased, not going to lie, as a Kentucky fan, but I think that bias does not exist this year whenever Kentucky is playing as well as they are. But I do have Baylor advancing on there, which means I don't have Kentucky in my Final Four. So for the first time in like probably a month or so, honestly. Then we'll go to the bottom right regional here. Arizona will advance past Jacksonville State. Not worried about that one at all. Now I'm going to go with Boise State here beating Creighton. Michigan will beat BYU, and then Michigan will upset Alabama there as a 12-5. Texas Tech will beat Toledo. Texas will beat Memphis there, a 6-11. Tennessee will beat Vermont. Then I'm going to go with Iowa State here advancing on past Miami, and then Purdue beating Colgate. And then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we're going to have Arizona here moving on past Boise State, where they will face Texas Tech, who will beat Michigan. Then we're going to go with Tennessee winning the battle of the orange teams against Texas, and then Purdue will be Iowa State. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, Arizona will fall to Texas Tech here. I got the 4-seed Red Raiders of Texas Tech advancing on to the Elite Eight, upsetting the 1 seed. And they will face the winner of Tennessee and Purdue, which, I mean, that 2019 game between these two teams was one of the best games I've ever seen. I was there live for that game. I mean, I vlogged that game. If you want to go check out that video, it's on my channel. I think it has like 3,000 views or something like that. Nothing too crazy. But that game was absolutely crazy. Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams, Carson Edwards. Oh, man, it was amazing. But this year, I am going to go with the Purdue Boilermakers advancing on here to the Final Four. And then for a spot in the actual Final Four, I'm going to go with Texas Tech. I think that this game is going to be a really defensive-oriented game, which is Purdue's. That's actually not Purdue's strong suit. Purdue is more of an offensive team. They struggle a little bit on defense, and that's why I think I'm going to have Texas Tech advancing on to the Final Four out of that region, which sets up the last region up here. In the top right, we're going to have Auburn advancing on past the winner of Wright State and Alcorn State, obviously. Marquette, I do think, will pull off the 9-8 upset over TCU. Iona, LSU, kind of like USC, I just don't really believe in this year. I think Rick Pitino's Iona squad could pull off pull off an upset here. They beat Alabama earlier this year, so they do have experience beating an SEC team. I got a 12-5 upset happening there. Providence will beat Chattanooga. San Francisco pulling off the upset over Houston. Houston, I just don't really believe in this year. I mean, it kind of depends on who they're bracketed up against, but San Francisco, they've been impressive this year. And we're going to go with Illinois, moving on past Long Beach State. Iowa beating Xavier as a 7-10, and then Kansas beating Montana State. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, Auburn will advance on past Marquette. Providence will beat Iona. Then we're going to go with Illinois moving on past San Francisco, and then Kansas beating Iowa. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, Auburn will beat Providence, and then Kansas will beat Illinois. As much as I want to pick Illinois to move on there, I just don't see it happening, which sets up Auburn versus Kansas. In the Elite Eight, I am completely split on this one, but I do think Jabari Smith, potential top overall pick, along with Walker Kessler, along with Katie Johnson, a lot of good players there. I do think that Auburn, led by probably Coach of the Year Bruce Pearl, I think they will advance to the Final Four. So we have 2 number 1 seeds in the Final Four, and then 2 number 4 seeds in the Final Four as well. Baylor versus Arkansas for a spot in the national championship. I think this is a rematch of last year's Elite Eight as well. I am going to go with the Bears, though, of Baylor advancing on to the national championship game. I do think that that'll be another defensive-oriented game. I got Baylor advancing on. Auburn and Texas Tech, another 1 versus 4 matchup here. I think this is a rematch of Actually, I don't know. It might have been a rematch of a Final Four game back in 2019 as well. I mean, I may be wrong on that one. I think it was Texas Tech that eliminated Auburn. Maybe it was Virginia. I don't remember. But then Auburn, I do think, will win that game there, which sets up Baylor versus Auburn here for the national championship. I am going to go with the Bears of Baylor. Going back-to-back. I don't remember the last team to even go back-to-back in the NCAA tournament. I don't really feel confident, honestly, having Baylor as my national champion. If I had to pick a national champion that, as of today, I don't think it would be Baylor. But that's just the way that the bracket ended up turning out. I'm sure it'll change a little bit over the course of the next couple of days when I do my bracketologies and then for the actual video on Selection Sunday. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of my predictions in the comment section below. Let me know your own predictions in the comment section below as well. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to join BetUS, join the Discord server, enter the subscriber giveaway, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.